Hello and welcome back to the last video in this series of how I made the O.D.S.T remix. In this video we're just going to be looking at the kind of effect sounds and whatnot that was put just to finish off and fill out the track, add those, you know, interesting little noises and stuff, you know, just to make it that little bit more interesting. This is something that I traditionally will do really roughly at the start, and we'll then go back and then spend a ridiculous amount of time tweaking at the end. That's just the way I do it. It can be incredibly annoying getting these right. I find this is like literally the point of the production process where I'm just like, I would rather be anywhere else, but it's so close to being finished, I just force myself to finish it, and I'm so annoyed, I'm so bored of the melody by that point. Yeah, but as I say, that's just me. I'm sure you guys may be able to relate, but we're just going to really quickly go through everything that's in here in pink, which is generally speaking my sweeps and effects kind of color. So we're going to start off with sweeps. So these are sweeps, are basically what I call things that just go up rises, down rises, ups, downs, you know, that kind of stuff. So let's just, you know, they're really quite straightforward. It just sounds like this. You know, but in context of the whole track, they sound like this. So, okay. Thank you very much, Bouncy Acid. I appreciate that. So what's on these sweeps then? It's just, so for example, this one here is the down 2. So it's this one. Most of my sweeps I just grab from Vengeance packs. Sometimes I'll make them myself, but if I want them to do something very specific, if they're just there as a white noise kind of filler, then I'm happy to just use samples, to be honest with you. So this is what this one sounds like. I do tend to lump the sweeps. I've only got like 3 different versions here into the same channel because they're all pretty much, you want to do the same thing. So I've put on here a little bit of exciter on the camel fat, small amount of compression, not much else going on here. Still brings the sound up though, doesn't it? Obviously you want a bit of delay. This doesn't work when it just stops like that, does it? There are cases where I would want it to just, the sound to just stop. And in those instances, what I've done, you can see here, I've done kind of a filter to just cut off that tau. So if I put the delay on, to give you an example. Next thing we have will be the Dodge Pro, which is my sidechaining plugin. You can really hear the difference of this, even though it's ever so, like, this doesn't look like a lot of sidechain. It doesn't look like it should make that much difference, but it really does. Okay, so if I now switch this off. This is a taste thing. You don't need to do this, but it's, do you want that kind of sound or not? And in this case, I decided I did. You don't necessarily need to sidechain these kind of sounds. It's completely up to you. It's up to your discretion. Last thing here I've got is obviously EQ. So I've cut out, what is that? Everything under, where does that sit? So just under 1K, so 985. So pretty much everything under 1K has been EQ'd out here. No boosts, because I don't think I particularly want to be boosting the sounds. I think they're already loud enough in the top end. I know some people would ramp these up, and I just think they sound horrible. Quite often I'll end up just taking that down a little bit, but I don't think it needs it in this instance. And again, obviously Imager. These things happen to quite often just have loads and loads and loads of anti-phase. So if I put this up to 0, you know, way too much stereo information in there, so I can't remember what it was. Doesn't make a difference. So that's, and this will affect all of my kind of up and down sweeps. I've only got a few different kinds going on here. So here's one that goes down, which is different to one that goes up. They're probably the most straightforward bit to get in. All these effects, to ones they take a lot more. I find I fiddle with them a lot more. This is sending to a FX Verb, which is using True Verb, another Waves plugin. Do quite like it. I prefer to use it does come with an EQ, but I prefer to stick one on after. So again, here everything under 400 has been EQ'd out, and I have sidechained this slightly differently to the way that the actual sweeps themselves are done. But remember, this will affect all my effects as well. So this is more a case of getting everything sounding kind of pumping and not, make sure the effects don't take up too much of the mix space. And that's the kind of reason why I did that. And again, another filter on it. Again, I don't think that this is just for cutting out when I want the reverbs or delays, the verb, I should say, to stop and not play over certain sounds. That's the reason why that filter's there. So now we'll look at the FX, which there are quite a few. Some of these are straight out of the box, and I've just amended them slightly. Some I actually created myself, and either rendered or just left in with the plugin. So this first one here, FX1. What's this? Yeah, this is one of this is from a sample basically. It was just a clap, and then I added. It was just a really tinny clap, and then I added a loads of its own unique reverb and delay, a bit of sound godizer. What did I do? 2? No, there we go, and a bit of EQ. So if I take this away, this is what it sounds like originally. Just a clap with a bit of a tail, and then that became. Let's listen to that in context of the full mix. Again, it's an effect. It's not supposed to be particularly noticeable. It's just an interesting noise in the background. The next one we'll go to is FX2. So this is basically still being rendered with Sylenth. So it's just essentially a screecher. And I've got, as you can see there, I've got the cutoff automated there. Brings it up. I only use this like twice in the track. I mean, I could have easily just sampled it, but I never got around to it for whatever reason. There is absolutely no processing on this. Didn't need it. Like, I was able to program the delay and reverb perfectly as I wanted it in the plugin. So there was no need to add additional processing to it. So it's literally just straight out of the box. Let's have a listen. And that's basically pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. Next one we'll go for FX3. This is something that I found in one of the VC3 packs. This is just a synth, which I've normalized, and I've slightly changed the intel. So normally it would look like that, but obviously I didn't want it to sound like that, so I made it sound like this. So let's have a listen. It's kind of like a funky effect. Again, I put more delay on it, and all I've really done is EQ'd out the bottom. Hear what it sounds like without the EQ. Way too much bass information going on there. So let's just have a listen in context. It's really subtle, but it just, all you can hear is like it's almost like a reverse acid, like wow sound. Really like it. Alright, this sound only gets used 3 times as well, so let's have a listen. FX4. Let's see. Vengeance. Well, okay, I'm kind of guilty of just slapping acid kind of, one shots into my tracks. I blame Dave J. As you can probably tell, I've put on quite a fat delay tail on that, which I've then EQ'd. Don't ask me why I EQ'd it that way. I should have done that as a high pass, but anyway. Added a bit of distortion and processing, because I felt it would kind of, it didn't hit as quick as hard as I wanted it to, so just put on the attack and turn down the release a little bit. Just wanted it to sound a little bit more stabby, like a one-shot. Not a massive amount there. Number 5. So this is one I made myself. Here's one I made earlier. I believe I used Viper, surprise, surprise, to make this sound. It's just a really kind of nice background, kind of almost like a pad. But I think that swell is probably the best definition for it. Have a listen. Now, the reason why I rendered this to audio is because obviously it had quite a lot of modulation and stuff going on in the plugin, and I felt like I didn't get consistent result when I was playing the track back. So what I did was I just thought it makes a lot more sense if I just render it, and that way it's going to be the same every time. So that's the reason why I rendered that. The only things on here is just, again, some delay, a little bit of not real distortion here, just a little bit of compression and stuff. It definitely makes a difference. And of course, touch of EQ. Didn't need those that bass information right at the bottom. Here's what it sounds like in context. I'll give it in when there's a bit more going on as well. So that's that one. Next one is FX6. This is from Vengeance Effects Pack 2. Let's me at the picture with the pitch again. This is what it sounds like. Just a really short riser effect, which I've used a couple of times. Quite often, you'll think every other time it's used in conjunction with FX7, which is this. So, to get the full picture, you probably need to listen to both of these at the same time. And then again with everything else in it. I hope that makes sense. FX6 has literally nothing on it. Completely dry. Just a touch of reverb, obviously, because it's sending through to the FX verb. And FX7 just has a bit of delay and an EQ cut on it, basically. Quite straightforward. Everything's going through to the verb, which we went through earlier, and a send before going to the master. Before I end this video, the last bit to discuss would be the bass drone. This is essentially also another effect. I didn't put it down here because I didn't feel like it needed to be, but obviously you can organize your own projects however you want. But this is the bass drone. It essentially is a riser, or kind of like it should be like listed as an up 4, I guess. But because of where it is and the sound that it used, I decided to just put it in with the bass sound. So I think if you go to the mixer track, it will be all the way there. It is. So just you can basically tell what it does by listening to it. Pretty sure this was a Viper as well, but again, I because of the movement in it, I rendered it so that it would be the same every time. Listening to it in context, it kind of makes a lot more sense. So just quickly, we'll go through this. The first thing that's on this is the filter. As you can see, if I just zoom in project here, you can see the filter curve that I've used. Kind of just it just basically slowly gets added to the sound, gets louder and louder, and I've used the volume here to make it louder, but it rapidly kind of the volume just goes down so that it's not too loud when it plays on its own. And then what have we got next? EQ, just a few EQ cuts. Let's just see if we can just loop this bit, and then we'll solo sound. Just takes a few of the nastier EQs and frequencies out. A little bit of compression. Delay, obviously, give it its unique delay. Even though it's a bass sound, it still definitely needs delay, in my opinion, and a bit of verb. If you take these off, it sounds awful. It also wouldn't work with the transition, the way the rest of the track cuts out in the last bit just before the bass drops. So it definitely needs that delay and reverb. And the last bit is a limiter, because it is because it's essentially a bass drone. It will kind of run free because it was distorted before I rendered it. So it doesn't even do anything. Huh. Didn't even need that on after all. There you go. Learn something new every day. Legacy bit. Maybe it needs it later. Here, let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. Because the second one is a little bit different to the first one, and that's why I put this here, because obviously it was something peaking a bit too much in the second one, so it wasn't put on pointlessly after all. But yeah, that pretty much is everything. We've gone through kicks, bass, percussion, instruments, and effects. I hope you enjoyed learning. I hope you have learned something. By all means, comments. Maybe I'll learn something. Post your comments if I've done something wrong, something that you think could have been done better. What else you want to see, what you would like to see from myself, from this channel. We'll try and do similar videos for future tracks where possible. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again soon.